All right, welcome back. Our next session is really going to be on the lead strategy of a Hall of Fame producer. So I'm just going to talk to you guys about some of the different types of leads that we have available here at FFL. And then I'm just going to hear from some of these guys on their favorite lead types, their mentality behind buying leads. I think that lead buying is a skill set that Hall of Fame producers have. You have to get good at buying leads, good at having leads, and when you don't have leads, you're totally out of business. Some of us come from businesses where the entire business is the friends and family model, where who do I know? Hey, make a list of your top 100 friends and family. Let's call them, and eventually you're going to run out of those people. Eventually they're going to stop answering your phone calls, and when you're doing friends and family, you're convincing somebody to get life insurance. Okay, you're convincing somebody that they need to be interested in life insurance, why that's important in their life. Whereas when you have leads, this is someone who's already raised their hand saying, I'm looking for life insurance, or I'm looking for information on life insurance. Whatever that intentionality is, it doesn't really matter. They've at least expressed some form of interest. Whether that interest is low or that interest is super high intent, they have some form of interest. Whereas with friends and family, I'm convincing you to get something. I'm like the door-to-door salesperson who's let me in to sell you a vacuum cleaner. Okay, whereas with this, the person's already raised their hand, and our job is just to get them the information. So leads work, okay? We're just gonna talk about some of the different kinds of leads here. So we've got a handful of different leads here. We've got direct mail leads, we've got Facebook leads, internet leads, aged 1 month leads, and aged 3 month leads, okay? So those are gonna be our main lead types. I'm just gonna kind of break down what each of them are, and I'm gonna talk about the different level of intention with each of them. So with a direct mail lead is somebody who, let's say they either have just financed or refinanced a home, or they're somebody that received a postcard about final expense coverage. And they actually filled out the postcard that came in the mail to them, and they put it back in an envelope, put it back in the mail, which is a lot of intention. I know that I would never fill out a postcard and put it back into a mailbox. That would just never ever happen for me. But somebody did that. That's also the most expensive lead type that we have here. It's the one that's the least available, the most exclusive, but very, very high intent. Someone who's filled out a direct mail. I can say, hey, I can see your handwriting right here. Or the husband says, hey, I don't remember filling that out. I go, okay, Bob, it's really neat handwriting. Did your wife fill it out? Yeah, my wife probably filled it out. Got it. Okay, so it's great because you can bring it back to the top of their mind of what they did. So direct mail is fantastic. Facebook final expense. So Facebook final expense, imagine you're scrolling through Facebook and here's now an ad on your timeline. I relate a Facebook final expense lead almost to a billboard. So the person wasn't necessarily looking for life insurance, but they happen to be in a demographic of somebody who needs final expense coverage, and they see a billboard and they say, I'm interested, they fill it out. Same thing if I'm driving down the freeway and I'm hungry and I see Applebee's, hey, let's stop for Applebee's. Final expense, that's probably a good idea. I fill it out, that comes to one of our, our CRM, that comes to one of our vendors, goes to the agents. That's the intent behind that. Internet lead, okay? So an internet lead is somebody who went online and they filled out some form of a survey. So how'd they get to that survey? Either could have came up in the form of an advertisement and they decided to fill it out to get some other form of information, or they specifically Googled life insurance information, life insurance quote, keywords looking for information on life insurance. Now what happened? They found a form, they filled it out, they filled out 12, 15 questions on a survey about who they are, what they're looking for, the whole deal, and then at that point it goes into our CRM. Now the behavior behind that lead, need to make sure it's super clear. The behavior behind somebody who types in life insurance quote is very different than someone who is scrolling on Facebook and said, oh, that looks like a good idea. The person who fills out a quote, they say, I'm looking for this, so I want to get comparisons. So what do? They find our ad, they click on it. Then what do? They find the next 3 ads, and they click on those ones too. So what happens? That person now is getting phone calls from all over the country. Call centers and us. So with an internet lead, you just have to understand that's a very competitive lead. A lot of people don't like internet leads. I love internet leads. They're the most available lead within the company, and I would argue to say they're actually the highest intent lead of all of the leads because they're the only one that actually searched life insurance. Everybody else just got something thrown at them. They say, oh, that's probably a good idea. They were actually looking for it. But then they started getting blown up by telemarketers all over the country, and their intention's gone down a little bit to get the information, not because it's not important to them, because they're really annoyed with telemarketers. So you got to understand that. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, about how to overcome, the angry internet lead, which is actually the highest intent lead in the entire company. Then you've got aged leads, 1 month and 3 month old leads. Those could be internet, those could be Facebook, those could be direct mail. Mike talks about how he works aged mortgage. A lot of people work aged final expense. A lot of people in this office crush it with telesales on 1 month old internet leads. They obviously vary in price. So you're looking at our cheapest lead could be $1, and our most expensive lead could be $90. Okay, so understanding that One thing that I've learned, and it's not a guarantee because there are no guarantees in this business, but one of the pieces of data that I've noticed is that if you have $1,000 worth of leads, a good goal could be to book 10 appointments. 10 to 15 appointments if you start to increase your skill set, but as a brand new agent, $1,000, 10 appointments. That doesn't happen for everybody. It takes skills, obviously. I got to make that disclaimer. There's no guarantees. But I've noticed, at least for me, I set a goal, and if I have $1,000 worth of direct mail leads, so I could have about 15 direct mail leads, $1,000. I'll probably book 10 appointments. Direct mail, super high intent. If I have $1,000 worth of Facebook leads, about 40 leads, $25 a piece, I'm probably gonna book about 10 appointments. If I have $1,000 worth of internet leads, I'm probably gonna book 10 appointments, $11 a piece. If I have $1,000 worth of 1 month or 3 month leads, 150, 200, 300 of those leads, I'm probably gonna book 10 to 15 appointments. So you have to understand once again, there's no guarantees, but the data says that there are a lot of people who they're seeing that type of result when they dial through. So at the end of the day, for me, I looked at it as how long do I want my dial day to be? And what do I want my return on investment to be? So for me, I can spend $1,000 on mortgage leads and I can get my butt kicked and my ROI, it's gonna be tough. But I could also, Joseph right here in the front row, what did you spend on leads the other day? Like $200-300, and how many families did you help off that? 13 families off $200-300. But he also had some really long dial days. Okay, so you have to understand that. He understood that the age of the lead is going to create a longer dial day for myself. Okay? All leads work. All leads work. Friends and family are great. Referrals are great. But at the end of the day, if I'm working off friends and family, if I'm working off referrals, I don't have constant new people coming in. I'm having to pressure somebody else to give me names and phone numbers. Whereas I can just buy interested prospects and I can talk to them. So from a leads perspective, Dean, I'd love to just kind of hear what's your mentality on leads? What's a conversation maybe that you have with a new agent about why we buy leads?
So the main conversation I have with a lot of people that we hire is it's your lifeline. You can't get ahead. So I relate it to, like, if you were to open up a restaurant, for example, which this probably relate to you because you're in that industry. What's number one thing you got to do to drive traffic? You got to market the business, right? You have to be able to market the business so people can come in and eat the food that you guys have. So it's no different here. You're in a big industry that has a huge demand for coverage for life protection, and if you were trying to just go out there and door knock and door-to-door sell, you'd probably get your door slammed in the face and you'd probably quit tomorrow. But when we have lead resources, it just allows us to get out. Like every business, you have to invest to get started. Fortunately for us, it's a very small smidge of a tiny little percentage of investment with a huge return of investment, ROI on the back end of it, due to the compensation structure we have. So you have to understand how the structure of the business works. It's just marketing. You pay someone else to do the marketing for you, you get the return, and all you gotta do is just set the time and appointment to go out and see them. And the most beautiful part about it is it's your schedule. You can have the time and financial freedom to do so. And that's what I love about it. When I came into this business, I was generously gifted 130, 140 aged mortgage leads. And I had no idea what I was doing. My mentor said, call them. What do I say? Tell them to fill the card out for mortgage protection. What else do I say? That you're gonna come out and give them the information. Okay. So I called 3-year-old leads, got my tail kicked, then I went to door knock. And I still ended up resolving 40 families in 2 months off of 3-year-old mortgage leads that were door knocked. So you have to understand how the concept works. And then you have to not be afraid to reinvest into it. We'll talk about how to properly structure your deposit so you don't die a financial death here, but you have to understand that you have to consistently reinvest. $1,000 a week on leads is nothing when you're out there protecting 40, 50 families on a high average and about 25 to 30 families on a low average. It's easily doable. And at the end of the day, it becomes a business expense to your business. So you have to understand how it works. If you don't, you're going to literally try to, like I said, when you talked about it earlier, reinventing the system. This is part of the system you never want to reinvent. You got to stick with the basic principle of it and understand that everybody's doing it. And that's why they're producing in high volume because of it.
Awesome. Robbie, this is a WorkSpots office. You and Mike, have this and graciously invited us all in here for this event. Can you talk to us a little bit about WorkSpots, how powerful it is, and just the lead discounts?
Sure. So I'm going to talk about that, and then I want to add something else too, if I can. So work spots, it does give all the agents across the country access to an office. Any FFL office that's part of work spots, you get that for $99 a month. Okay, it's an investment, but here's the cool thing about that investment. You've got a place for that month that you can come in literally every day. Now, you better not be in here every day. You need to be in here about 2 days a week. And then the rest of the time, you need to be running your appointments. But the cool thing about it is it gives you all these discounts on leads. I'm literally saving about $2,000 a month on lead discounts through work spots. Now, $2,000 a month, I'm pretty good with numbers. That means about $24,000 a year, $24,000 to $26,000 a year, okay, which is a big-time mortgage on a nice house that you could basically do just by having work spots. Another thing, if you're brand new to this company and you're coming in like I did with literally no money, I had less than $300 to my name. Okay, so I had to get real ingenious with how I was going to start making some money and investing in leads because I didn't really have any money to invest in leads. So I said, I'm going to make my own leads. So John Hancock had, and still does, has the Vitality Plan, which gives away the free Apple Nike watch. So I took a picture with my free Apple Nike watch and made a flyer, put it on Facebook, and says, if you want a free Apple Nike watch, call this phone number. And so then all these people started calling that phone number, which was my leads that I generated myself, and then I started running it, and in 2 weeks I'd made about $6,000. Okay, then I turned that into other leads, okay, the other lead source. But you got to think outside the box when you do your leads, because here's the thing too, I never buy anything other than new leads and instant internet leads. Why? Because my CRM is full with thousands and thousands and thousands of leads that when I bought them were instants and news, and now they're 1 month, 2 month, 3 months. So what I do is I always get 50 new ones or 50 instant ones for my dial day, and then I'll go back 2 months and I'll take those instants that I bought 2 months ago and I'll fill that in, and then I've got 100 of them. So I'm getting 50 of them for free, plus I get the discount. Do the math. And then on top of that, I'm thinking outside the box, because what I've done is I've gone and I've partnered with 2 racing leagues. Okay, so I get to go on Saturdays and watch the races and everything and pass out cards and get people all this information, and I end up writing business on them too. So you got to think outside the box, and you got to be diversified in where you go get your leads.
Love it. Real quick, Brandon, all the way down to Dean, just real quick, favorite lead type?
Mortgage mail for me.
Okay, Mike?
If I could get a mortgage,
Awesome. Robbie?
Instant internet leads.
Awesome. Darlene?
Both, mortgage and the instance.
Okay, Dean?
Mortgage and final expense.
Final expense. Awesome. Yeah, and my favorite are definitely internet leads and mortgage leads as well. So that's going to conclude our section on leads.